like family functions. You're the business guy, you're the business owner. I'm like, who am I now? Like I had a little bit of that identity crisis. I remember kind of sitting on the deck talking about that and like, who are we outside of work and what is that identity? And that was a good experience for me to kind of actually spend some time with that. That my value doesn't come with my entrepreneurism or what I'm doing for work. Like work is work is work. Like at the end of the day, it's an end to the means or a mean to the ends. And in the long scheme, it doesn't matter. Like, you're
Is that like the main secret?
Right? Like, well, like you as a person, it's way more important to just be a decent human being and to like serve people, love people, help people out, build good relationships, build those connections. And like, you just step back and you look at it and you're like, okay, like building websites and designing logos is not changing the world. Like we're doing good for people, but it's not like this isn't the end of the world if we have issues or whatever it might go. And so it's just kind of recontextualizing that I think is important.
Welcome back to Killing Conversations, episode 9. Today we are joined with Jacob Amundsen, right?
Yeah.
Nailed it. Okay.
Yep.
The co-founder of Klatch, a powerhouse marketing agency that's rewriting the rules of brand and community engagement here in Southern Utah and beyond. Jake, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
No worries, dude. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So this series that we're doing, Killing Conversations, we are interviewing entrepreneurs, founders, people that are in this Southern Utah area that are really making like an impact in their lane, but not only their lane, but kind of merging different companies and being in a space like this that we're in right now, being able to walk past a few different, companies, a few different people doing different stuff and getting to just feel that community aspect. And I know that you are very involved in this community, involved with what St. George is doing and how we're growing. And first I want to talk about you in general a little bit, and then we can kind of go into what you're doing now, where you started, all this kind of stuff. And so tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial start. What made you want to become an entrepreneur?
You know what? I don't know if I ever set out and said, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. That's what I'm going to do. Like if I go back and look into the past, I can be like, I think that spirit's always been there, right?
Yeah.
Like I was always like offering to edit videos on like janky old, like, Windows 1995 type editors, right? I was always creating stuff. I was always producing stuff, involved with like theater, involved with music. Like I was always in that creative environment. And I remember when I was looking, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I was going into architecture at the university. And then I realized how much math was involved with architecture. Yeah. And then I also realized, most architects aren't building the like Tony Stark house on the cliff, right?
True.
Like they're designing boxes essentially. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get to flex that creativity as much as I want. Yeah. And so I just kind of went down the pipeline into like graphic design because I was like, you can do a lot of fun stuff, printed t-shirts. I've done some graphic work in there. And it was one of those things where I started to find really quickly that university, as great as it is, it's like they'll do a class and they'll be like, okay, this semester we're going to make 3 things. We're going to do a logo, we're going to do a brochure, and we're going to do the homepage of a website. And you're like, you got people showing up on presentation day in tears because they feel like they didn't have enough time to get what they needed to get done. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think the industry works this way. And so I went out and got an internship with the Utah Summer Games and started doing work there. And I was like, oh no, you get to do all 3 of those in one day. Like, right?
Yeah,
like it moves a lot quicker.
For sure.
And so realizing that, like, I still think, university is important. I think getting a degree is important. I learned a lot there and interfaced with a lot of people, but it was like, I remember talking to my wife and being like, yeah, graphic designers, they don't get paid great. Like we'll probably max out at like $45,000 a year. Are you cool with that? And she's like, yeah, like let's go all in. And it was just funny. Like as I got into the career world and started working in companies, I found that I was a little bit, I was probably the problem employee because I was seeing the systems and processes and the ways things were doing. And we're like, hey, why are we doing it this way? And like kind of being like I literally remember sitting in a meeting with the company that I was working with right out of college. And I was like, they said, okay, we're talking about all these things we're going to do. And with this idea that we have, okay, and break. And before it broke, I was like, so like, are we going to do this? Like, are we going to actually implement this? And so I was a bit of a problem child in that sense, but
hard employee to have.
Yeah, I could be. I think so. Right. And, my wife and I, we moved up to northern Utah and I was working for an agency as a creative director and she was working for a company doing marketing as well. And we both were kind of like, dude, we're kind of running the show with a lot of these things here, and yet, like
not getting paid to run the show.
Yeah, exactly, right. And the owner's nowhere to be seen. And I remember we had a conversation. We were going to a company party for hers. They had these awesome big parties at like the Grand American, and we were like I was wearing a tuxedo. It was like a casino night. She's in a ball gown, and I was like kind of painted this vision for like an agency with like young people that are doing all sorts of cool stuff. Right? You got that startup vibe. You got the ping pong table, and the pizza boxes, and you're just making cool stuff, working with cool people, and kind of painted that. And I was like, I think we could do that. And it wasn't actually until like we talked about it, but my pushing moment was I had a boss who asked me to Photoshop his driver's license for him.
Nice.
Yeah, right.
Super legal.
Yeah, I love committing felonies for work. It's just totally awesome. But he had wanted. There's a whole story that goes involved with that. But I was just like, dude, I'm done with this. Like, I had an opportunity. I had a friend who was working with Young Living Essential Oils. They said, hey, we need some outsourced design work. And then I had the Utah Summer Games as well. Where like we'd hire you to do some design work. So I literally just started out doing freelance graphic design.
Yeah.
And within 1 year, it was like I saw a need. We were living in Salt Lake. There was no agencies really here in Southern Utah. I mean, there were freelancers and people who were playing the game, but not like an in-house kind of a thing. And so that's what we did. We moved down here. I'm from here, so it was an easy choice. And we kind of set up shop and never looked back. And I mean, like in 7 years, we built a team. We had 10 to 15 people. We were working with all sorts of cool local people. People in government, people within the city, resorts, builders, all sorts of really cool local companies. And that was really fun, really, really, really fun. And so it's a long answer for the
perfect.
Start of entrepreneur. It really kind of fell into it. And then, as you get in more and you realize, oh, like I could do this, like we can figure this out.
Yeah, for sure. And especially when you get to a point in working for somebody else where you realize like I'm actually the one running this, it kind of is an easy transition. Obviously not the risk factor, because when you're working for somebody, you're playing with their deck of cards pretty much, and then now you're playing with your own. Yep. What kind of did that stress you out at all? Like the going all in on it?
Not really. And it's probably because I had those two, like the Young Living and the Utah Summer Games. I was like, and I looked at it and I was like, I can get almost close to what I'm making now just with that. My wife also still had a full-time job. Gotcha. So it was like, we were like, she was nervous. She was a nervous wreck about the whole thing. But like, we didn't have any kids. It was just us and a cat in an apartment, right? But the thing that I found is like, when you have that freedom of time to actually commit to something, like when you put time into it, it just happens, right? I remember I sat down, I'm like, okay, well, I don't got a website. Day one, let's build a website. And so by the end of the day, I had the bones of the website that we were doing. I was like, okay, day two, we should probably get some like portfolio stuff together so people can see. And so it was like, it just worked kind of day by day by day. And I just realized, dude, I got 8 hours in a day. I sit down, get it done. And just by doing that, it just naturally grew. Right? It's like I put the time into it. And I know that can be hard for people, especially if they're like trying to do the side hustle thing, right?
For
like,
sure. Yeah. I want to make my side hustle turn into my main hustle at some point.
That's a tough thing. I mean, I've got a couple of companies I'm working on right now, and Klatch, the one that you talked about, that's the one that's kind of getting my full attention right now. Yeah. And it's doing great. Like we're doing really well. We're doing where we want to be. Some of these other ones are it's been taking a while longer, right? Like one of them is a marketing course. I've been working on it for a year now. I just opened beta access, and I read my original plan was to get it done in like 90 days. And I'm like, dude, like
we're a year in.
And it's just like, where do you have time to put the energy into that? And if you dedicate the time to it and make it a focus, then it just gets done.
For sure. Yeah. And it can grow so much faster, because your first company, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was called Venture.
Yeah. Venture Creative Studios.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. And at that point, so you open up Venture solo, right? It's probably just you.
Yeah. I mean, my wife was helping with a few things here and there, but she still had a full-time job. Yep.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to start basically creating this brand that people trusted, this brand that people wanted to be a part of, that got you to be able to hire 10, 15 employees, or, you mostly did contract work, right?
Yeah. I mean, we did a lot of, we had employees. We had, by the time I sold, we had like 10 or 15 people on staff, from full-time to like part-time to interns. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing for us was I had a friend tell me this recently, and I thought it was funny. He was like, I feel like one of the reasons that venture was so successful is that you would kind of just say yes to anything, and then even if you didn't know how to do it, and just figure it out.
Yeah.
So if somebody's like, hey, I need this, I'll be like, well, I'll do that for you. And then I'm like, okay, let's go. This is before AI and some, I'm like literally Googling stuff, trying to figure out how we're going to make this work. But for the most part, I mean, I don't recommend that to everybody as, doing stuff you don't necessarily know how to do. But if you got the tenacity to kind of figure it out, I think that makes a big difference. And,
no doubt.
We also looked at values of like, there's agencies get a bad rap. Like they get a bad rap, but a lot of it's earned, right? Like
sure, yeah.
Marketing agencies can be kind of a scummy. Like I just know there's so many out there that they get in with the client, they sell them on this contract, and then they squeeze as much money out of them as they can and then get out, right? Like I've seen that over and over and over again, and it just leaves the client being like, well, that sucked. I'm never working with an agency again.
It's true. Yeah. You hear a lot of those stories because it's like it's very difficult to figure out a ROI on marketing.
It can be. Yeah. Especially when it's like things like branding or like a redesign of a website. And that was kind of our bread and butter, was creative services, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like everybody's focusing on the vanity metrics of how many followers do I have and how many likes do I have? And and you're like, okay, but that's not what matters, right? And so helping people to understand that, like you said, marketing is way more than just like a set ROI. Now, lead gen and that kind of stuff, that's great. It's awesome to be able to attribute exactly what you're doing, but it can be frustrating. It's sometimes hard to see how that makes a benefit, and we struggled with that for sure.
For sure. And how would you like navigate that with your clients that you had? Because you were able to collect a decent portfolio of these really great companies that then trusted you to basically take over for them. How did you build that? And what was like your pitch to them to be like, I'm not like these other marketing agencies. This is what I'm going to do for you.
Yeah, well, I think like 90 to 95% of the people we worked with had some sort of a negative experience in the past. And so it's just listening and hearing what their concerns are. But it's also building trust through just like, trust isn't something that just comes inherently out of the box. Like you have to build it by actually trusting that person. You do that thing. You are trustworthy by allowing them to work on your project, and then they earn more of that trust by doing what they say they're going to do. Yeah. And so for us, it was really important that we were transparent and like really honest, and that we were really communicative. The other thing that helped us, we were fast. Like, you got companies that are taking 6 to 9 months to build a website. And we were like, now we'll turn it around in 40 days, 30 to 40 days. And that was important too. And so, but I think the other piece is like, once you get somebody who can kind of evangelize for you, I was like, yeah, they do great work. Like we never ran ads. We never had like a sales team. Like everything we did was referral based. Wow. Even now with Klatch, like all the work that we're receiving right now is pretty much 100% referral based, or people that we're kind of around and engaging with. Yeah.
No, that's super cool. And I think it's just kind of like a testament to like you and the people that you bring on. And one of the people that work for us is somebody that worked for you. And I remember calling you to get like opinions. And it's a testament to what you guys do and the trust that you build and the people that you surround yourself with, for sure. So one question I think is super interesting that I think people would like to know is, what does building a successful company and then getting out, so like the sell of something that's you've built and something successful, take me kind of through like that emotional roller coaster of like, man, I built this, like what am I going to do next, and where is this going to go? Because, and we can get into it a little bit of your previous company, like sometimes it always doesn't work out for that next person, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of funny. I've been kind of having a lot of time to think about this over the last couple of years, really. One thing is my wife and I have always worked together. Yeah. And that works for us. A lot of people that doesn't work with. Like I'm like, hey, can you imagine working with your spouse? And they're like, yeah, that would never happen. But like even when we were engaged, we were working together. Like we met on the job. Like we've always been doing stuff together. Yeah. But we started having kids. We had a daughter, and we saw, that's making things a little bit difficult. Like we have other responsibilities now. We can't put because we were putting everything into this company, right? Like we're working weekends. Like we're everything. Like we'd go out to dinner and we'd talk about our staff and our team, right? Like our relationship was, dude. like our relationship was very much defined by what we were doing with work. And I think there was definitely a little bit of burnout. And one thing I wish that I could have adopted earlier was the ability to trust other people who are smarter than you. And lean into them. I saw it at one point. We would do these awesome videos where we'd show off all the stuff that we'd done over the year. Yeah. And it was kind of a reel, and you see all the shoots that we were on, all the logos we designed, all the brands and the websites and stuff. And I remember watching one of them and I was like, I did that one. I did that one. I did that one. I'm like, I have a team. Why am I not using my team? Why am I just making this the Jake show? It shouldn't be the Jake show. The other thing was I was struggling with the sales side of it. Like we didn't need it necessarily. Like we were doing okay, but I was like, man, I don't know if I've got the ability to take this really to the next level. Yeah. I'm not if somebody's sitting in front of me and they're interested in my product, I can sell them all day long. But like prospecting, cold calling, like finding those people, not my game. Like I'm not going to be great with that. And so I think what we did is we had at least just reached out to get a quote on what they think the brand was worth and what the company was worth. Yeah. And they did some digging and they came back with a number, and we were like, oh, that's like, that'd be kind of cool if we had that, like that. Sure. And one thing kind of led to another. And I definitely was feeling, like I said, a little bit of that burnout. One of the things we also realized as we were looking at it is we were like, I could cut the whole team, cut the building, cut the equipment. I could keep 3 of these clients for myself, and we'd be pulling in the same amount of money, like between my wife and I. And I was like, what are we doing? Something's broken with how we built that. And I was like, okay. So ultimately, we made the decision for the sale. We worked with an agency, a brokerage to make that sale. And I remember I was on the way to a boys' trip in Morocco, and at the airport, the brokerage called me and they're like, dude, we got some guy in northern Utah. He's super interested. Do you have time to talk to him right now? So I'm like wandering through the terminals of Salt Lake Airport, talking to this guy who's like, yeah, I love what you built. It looks really cool. He'd already like called the agency pretending to be a client to see how people would handle it. Really? I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah. So, and anyway, long story short is I got the offer once I landed in Morocco, and I'm sitting there in the hotel room, and I'm like, whoa, that's like, are we going to do this? Yeah. And we came back home after the trip, we accepted it. And it was like a 3 to 4 month process with banks and all that kind of stuff. My biggest thing was, for me, I didn't want to just sell to anybody and have them wipe the team out, wipe the stuff out, and just take the clients and add it to their existing thing. I was like, I want somebody to take ownership and leadership where they can be that person that takes it to the next level. And this guy was talking about growing it to be like have multiple offices. And he's like, I have all these people that are interested. You know, he'd come highly recommended as well. And so my whole thing was like, okay, for the next 2 to 4 months, I need to get us to a point of revenue where he feels really good with it, because he's going to have an SBA loan too, and B, get the team feeling like they can independently work without me there. And Sam, who is my partner now at Klatch, she had moved literally like 4 months before this sale conversation from Montana to St. George to be the project manager. And I remember in a one-on-one meeting, I was like, so how you feeling? Yeah, I'm loving it. It's awesome. Like, okay, so would there be anything that would like cause you to want to like piece out of here? And she's like, I don't know. Probably if you sold the business, that'd be one. I was like, okay, let's dive into this. And so when I did tell her and the other leader, like she was pretty skeptical. She was like, dude, I made a life change for you and for this, and and was super nervous. But you know, she's got a family that does a lot in business, and I think her dad said like, we've got like you. Take this, run with this. This is an experience. Yeah. And so she did. We sold. I sold in April of 2023. I had one day where I came back and we changed all the credit card numbers, and I gave him all the passwords, and that was it. There was literally no training. Just a cut. I was like, okay, I mean, that sounds good. And I went and had an amazing summer. I like sat on my butt and played Legend of Zelda and hung out with my kids and my wife. And now I had a relationship with my wife instead of my business partner, which was great. But yeah, no, it was really good. It was an amazing experience to know what is it like working with brokerages. Like most people don't know a brokerage takes like 12% of your sale. Yeah. That's insane.
Not a lot of people know that.
Yeah. So it's like if you're looking at like $1 million sale, You got 12% that goes to the brokerage, probably 30 that goes to capital gains taxes. Like you're close to about half of what your actual sales price is out the gate when it is.
Crazy. Yeah.
It is. And most people are like, oh, I'll sail and it'll be amazing. No, it's a lot. But it was a great experience. I really enjoyed working with the brokerage. I enjoyed kind of figuring that out. And I really had to become a sales guy and sell this. There were a couple times where he was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm not sure. And I kind of had to be like, no, I think you've got this. I think that this will be great. And I think that you can make this work. And so, yeah, it was bizarre though, like kind of stepping in that world and being like, okay, I have no source of revenue right now, but I do have a lump sum of cash in my account. So now what?
So I can hang for a little bit. Yeah. How was that?
I mean, it was good. It's definitely misplaces you a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like family functions. You're the business guy. You're the business owner. I'm like, who am I now? Like I had a little bit of that identity crisis. I did some traveling. We took the kids to Hawaii. I went out with the guys that I went to Morocco with. We did a little trip down to Florida Keys, and I remember kind of sitting on the deck talking about that and like, who are we outside of work and what is that identity? And that was a good experience for me to kind of actually spend some time with that.
Yeah.
Like that my value doesn't come with my entrepreneurism or what I'm doing for work. Like work is work is work. Like at the end of the day, it's an end to the means or a mean to the ends. And it in the long scheme, it doesn't matter. Like you're
is that like the main secret?
Right? Like, well, like you as a person, it's way more important to just be a decent human being and to like serve people, love people, help people out, build good relationships, build those connections. And like, you just step back and you look at it and you're like, okay, like building websites and designing logos is not changing the world. Like we're doing good for people, but it's not like this isn't the end of the world if we have issues or whatever it might go. And so it's just kind of recontextualizing that I think is important.
For sure. And then, so how long, you said that you were just sitting on your butt. How long were you sitting on your butt before you were like, I got to get back to doing something?
It was about 3 months. So it was mostly a summer.
Yeah.
I finished the newest Legend of Zelda game and I was like, that's disgusting. Like these are supposed to take like a long time. And I'm like, I don't think I've played like hardly any video games ever since that. I was like, that's wrong. And so I started poking around. Originally, I thought I had a couple of ideas of things I wanted to do. I called my wealth advisor, he was actually a former client, and was like, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Like, what do you think? And he's like, I think you just need to kind of like dig into one and start kind of going from there. Cause I had a whole bunch of different ideas. Mm-hmm. But I was also like, man, we're living off of this. We're spending a decent amount of money. Like it'd be good to start making some revenue. So I actually started applying for some jobs, just jobs.
Yeah.
And dude, from going from one side of the table where you're the guy conducting the interview, interested in the hire, to being the interviewee is so jarring. It's like you realize how like there are those people that they don't do their due diligence, or you get the people that'll like kind of drag you along on the string, and you're like, what are we doing here, dude? So I did
especially
that,
especially when you've seen that other side,
right? Yeah, it's I'm like, I know that you haven't fully looked at my you saw my name, went and looked at me on LinkedIn to see if I looked like a decent person, and now you're like, you might have heard something. So I did a couple things like that. And then I had a really kind of a weird experience where one of my favorite clients, the piano guys, a lot of people know them. Yeah. They called me up probably 5 months post-sale, and they're like, dude, they're not getting it. The company's not getting it. I'm like, shoot. And he's like, you got it. Like, this brand. And to be fair, in my, I probably didn't prepare that one for the sale as well as I should have, because it was a passion project. I loved the piano guys from when I was younger and loved them as independent artists and stuff. And so I was kind of choosy and worked on a lot of that myself. Yeah. And they were like, what are you doing? Do you have anything? Would you be interested in joining W2 as like an employee? And I was like, you know what? I know the brand. I know what to do. I feel like I could really kind of dial in on this and get this to work. And so, but I was like, but they're going to be furious over
the old company.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that's probably one of their biggest clients.
It was a pretty big client, but there had been an issue where a mistake was made, where an email had gone out to their full audience, which was like 300,000 people, and then another partner, someone else they were doing work with, that had like 500, like almost 1 million emails. Anyway, this campaign went out like 48 hours too early with none of the links working and test material in it, and just torpedoed this like big release that they were going to do. And it was just kind of like, it was an honest mistake. People make mistakes, but it was one of those things where like, we're done.
It was a straw.
Yeah, it was the final straw. And so they asked if I'd want to do it. I talked to a lawyer. He said, based on everything in here, you're taking on the role as a marketing director, not as an agency. You're in the clear. You can do this. But they're not going to be happy about it. And I was anticipating that.
Yeah.
Well, that was true. I actually haven't spoken to the owner since that time. He was very, very upset. And I tried very hard to kind of get in touch and be like, hey, look, I just had to kind of do what's best for me. Let me help you guys find somebody to replace that client or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think he was still struggling with a new business and struggling with that experience. And that was that. And my two leaders, JC and Sam, like they were like, yeah, we're done talking to you. Like we're mad. We're mad at you. And it was like, I don't know. Kind of, I mean, business is business, but it still sucks. And, so I felt like the villain. I felt like, oh, dude, what have I done? But I continued to work with the piano guys. That was a really good experience. I got to do some things we'd never done before, like launching an online course, which got me really interested in that. Yeah. Kind of figuring out how some things work in the industry. I was going on tour. So I'm literally
that's one of my questions.
Yeah.
What's tour like with a huge group like that?
It's fun for the first 2 days and then miserable for the rest.
Really?
And they'd back me up on this. No, tour's fun. I mean, we slept on the bus, so you get inside your little bunk,
your little cubby.
Just like, it's like a coffin, right? Yeah. And the first night you're like, oh, this is so cool, and then you realize how poorly you sleep when that happens, and you're like, okay, this sucks, right? But no, it's cool. I liked, as a marketing guy, I'm usually sitting in front of a computer all day long, so it's nice to be up on your feet and like, I mean, the one thing I found was. When you're traveling with a tour group, everybody helps everybody. And so like I found this very early on that, if they're loading in and like pushing boxes and bringing things in and you're just like standing in your nose, we're like, well, I'm the marketing, social media and merch guy. That's not my job. Like, dude,
that doesn't fly.
Dude, and they're hardcore guys. Like they're, they've all got like 4-foot long beards and beer bellies, and they will beat you. Like whether it's verbally or whatever, they will come after you unless you like everybody helps. And that's one thing I found out is when you're loading out at the end of the show, right? Curtain goes down at like probably 10:30, maybe 11 p.m. Yeah. And then the crew immediately starts breaking that show down. So they're pulling down lights, they're packing up sound systems, they're packing everything together, and it's got to go on that truck so we can get to the next location.
It's crazy.
So you're lucky if you're out by like 1 a.m. maybe. Right. But I found that out. I was like, I got all my stuff packed up. I'm just going to hit the showers. Nah, dude. Like everybody pitches in until that last case is on there. So it was good. A lot of good experiences. The nice thing is the guys are family guys anyway. The piano guys are family guys. So they never do tours longer than 2 weeks. Oh, so nice. It's like, you go through that first week and then you get a nice little break on the weekend. Yeah. And then you get through the last. And by the end, you're like, okay, I cannot tour for the next 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. Could you
do it all again?
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, your typical artist is touring for like 6-7 months of the year.
Oh, yeah. Geez. I mean, and those guys that toured with us, they toured with Carlos Santana as well. Yeah. And so, I mean, some of them were 300 days out of the year on the road. And I'm just like, and some of them are making really good money. Like the lighting director makes great money. He lives on a tour bus. Like, I'm like
why would he pay rent?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So it's like it's a lifestyle. It's definitely a lifestyle, and it works for some people. I have fun and I really enjoyed it. But like, if I never see the inside of a tour bus again, I'm gonna
be all right.
I'll be okay.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. And so going from so working, solely with the piano guys. Yep. How long did you do that for?
So I did it for about 18 months, and they're still a client right now. I still service them. I think, again, I know that brand better than pretty much anybody. I've worked with them since 2019, so I understand that. And they're definitely slowing down with what they're doing. There's some things going on with health in their families and stuff, and they're deliberately, they've been doing this for like 15 years, dude. Yeah. I went on tour for 3 years out of consecutive, and I'm like, I could never tour again. And they've been doing it for 15. They'll get back to it, and they're going to do more of it. And there's still a lot that they want to get after. They're just taking a well-deserved break, and so we're just kind of keeping things holding from there. But it's the entire time I'm getting the pull of like, what else? Right? Yeah, like what else could we do?
For sure. And so you did that off and on for 3 years?
Well, it was about 18 months.
18 months.
Yeah. Oh, not even that. I mean, it was about it was about a year. But by the time I started to
get the itch
one of the things was like, as a business owner, you make pretty decent money if you're doing good.
Yeah.
I was making significantly less with the piano guys. They did build a nice commission structure in for me so that I was motivated to help them with their sales and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was making decent money, but I was also like, I could do more. One of the things that we did is all of us, and I'm revealing so much now, but a lot of us on the team, we all got caught up in doing Forex trading, like algorithmic Forex trading.
Yeah.
And, one of them had found this company that had built this algorithm that it could do trading for you, and it would, and basically just print money for you. And you just kind of have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
So, I'd started working again with them in like August of 23. And by November, I had bought into this thing. And essentially, you got to have a decent amount of cash set aside so that it has money to pull from to do trading with, right?
Yeah, right.
So I had like $80,000 in this trading account. But there were days where like I'm watching the algorithm like buy and sell. And I'd make $3,000 to $10,000 a month with this algorithm, right? I was like, this is super cool.
Yeah.
But then it started slowing down. Like the algorithm, like it's always conditional on what's happening in the market. The market started slowing down, so I started getting greedy. And so like when I'm only making like $1,500 on 1 month on it, I'm like, this is stupid. I want to make more, right? and so what you can actually do is adjust it to be a little bit more ballsy with your trading. To be more aggressive, and so get a little greedy with it. And I did that, and I was like, so I set my lot higher on a couple of things, and then they had what's called a drawdown. And that's where when something happens in the market, for like usually in an international market, so that the value is adjusted pretty significantly. And usually the algorithm will look at that and be like, buy, and buy a bunch. And then it starts like, you're seeing like, I've got like $30,000 out in open trades.
Yeah.
And the thing that happens is if you have more out in open trades than you have in your account, they liquidate the account and everything's gone. So if I had 80,000, like if I've got my account that has 80,000 and I have, 80,000 out in open trades, like the bot is continually buying, but it hasn't sold those yet, like it hasn't profited yet.
Yeah.
Then that's a default. So they close the account and you're done. And so you can overcome that two ways. You can be less aggressive, right, and be more conservative, or you add money to the account so that there's not a problem.
There's stuff in there,
right?
Yeah.
So we had a drawdown. Something had happened. I was on tour. I'm laying awake watching this algorithm, watching my account go lower and lower and lower, and it turned around. But I was like freaking out. It turned around. It closed for a profit, and I was like, okay, we're good. And then a few months later, it did the same thing again, and it was like some crazy thing, and it was. That turnaround the first time was probably a 24-hour thing. The second time it happened was like a week. So for a week, I'm not sleeping. I'm watching these numbers. And it finally got to a point where I was like, I don't know if this is going to recover. Do I cut my losses now and just like get out of this or see what happens? And I finally was just like, I'm not sleeping. I can't handle the stress. So I closed for a loss, and I lost probably $20,000.
Wow.
Now what I'd done, I'd made about $20,000. So it was a wash.
Like break even.
Yeah, it was a wash. But I was like all that time and the stress and the energy. And I was like, I'm done. And what happened is I was actually talking to my wealth advisor, who ended up being my business coach. And, I had asked him, I was like, hey, I want to do some risky trading. And he's like, not my jam, but if you want to do it, go for it. And I was like, I had to come to him and basically be like, yeah, dude, I screwed up. And he was like, you know what? You've got the ability to take risk. Why are you not taking risk on yourself? And I was like, okay. Yeah. He's like, if you're going to be risky, go all in on yourself. And that's when we started talking, and this is when the gears started to turn on like, okay, what's the next step? Like, clearly the Piano Guys is great, love what we're doing, but that's their thing. You're not going to be an owner of that. What can you go all in on yourself and try to build from there?
And is that when Klatch started to come?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, the first thing that came about was actually this marketing course. I had just built a course for the Piano Guys, and it had done really, really well. And I got really excited about the idea of building a course for people that taught them the basics of marketing. So things like setting up Google Business Profile, setting up your email system, basics of branding, basics of strategy, just stuff that a lot of people don't have in place because people can either A, not afford the agency, or B, they're just not ready to engage the agency. The agency is going to be like, okay, well, where's your, do you know what your logins are? Where's your strategy? Like what do we have to start with? And they may not even have any of that.
Yeah.
And so I started building that out and putting that all together. And while I was doing that, I discovered a program called High Level level, go high level.
Yep.
A lot of people know about that. And I'm like, how have I never used this? Like the lead generation and the way that it pulls everything in was really cool. Started talking to another friend who is an entrepreneur, and we decided, hey, this would be a great thing to offer to people in the medical industry, is showing them how to use this high level system and do some stuff there. So we started kind of doing that at the same time. So now I've got 2 kind of companies rolling all in.
Yep.
And then it was August of last year that an email went out to all of the clients and staff that were at Venture that said, we're closing our doors. So Venture Creative Studios, we're done. We're closing up shop. And I was like, whoa. And immediately I started getting messages from old clients. I mean, I haven't talked to these people in 2 years, basically.
Yeah.
18 months. And I've got people that are like, what are we going to do? Can you help me? What's going on? And I tried to get back in touch with the owner, and I think he was just dealing with a lot of stress and everything that was involved with that. But it sounded like these people didn't really have much help and much to be able to do. In the meantime, Sam and I had repaired our relationship. We literally went to one of those places where you like throw trash around and start like a smash room.
The smash
like
labs,
literally, we went to
yeah.
lunch. We kind of were like, yeah, did I totally kind of poach a client from you guys? Absolutely. And I feel bad about that. And she's like, yeah. And we also didn't take care of them. Like we kind of fixed it. We were on the same page. We went and settled our difference in a trash smash labs kind of a thing. Yeah. And we were good. Anyway, we got in touch, and I said, you saw that? And she's like, yeah, I saw that. And she's working for a different agency now at this point. And I'm like, we have an opportunity here. We have an opportunity to help a lot of people. And again, now there's a new hole. There's a hole of what's not there. Do we want to do this? And it wasn't immediate. I definitely was committed to helping a lot of people. We have done hours and hours of work, helping people get their websites figured out, helping people kind of get where they need to be in a lot of areas. But we also said, what could we do with this?
Right.
And so that's kind of the groundwork for what Klatch had become. Sam, she had actually started that with a couple of other people from Venture, and said, yeah, this is like, we're going to be this group of people, but we'll mostly just be freelancers and just help people kind of on the side. It'll be our side gig.
Yeah.
But she's the one who really carried it. She's the one who put all the paperwork together. She's the one that had the bank account. She was the one kind of keeping the engines rolling. But like, it can't be discredited that everybody else had a lot of to do with that. But at the end of the day, like we talked, we kind of pulled things together, and in January of this year, we said, let's go all in. Let's see what we can do. So
it's exciting.
It is. It's cool. It's weird for me to be back at and I hate saying I'm back, and I've had people have been like, oh, it's nice to have you back. I'm like, it's different. Yeah. And that was our biggest thing is like, well, if we're going to do this, we've got to do it differently enough that it adds more value than what we were doing before. And that was a key, like and everything we do, we think about that. It's like, how can we be better than what we were at before?
Yeah. And so that's a great segue into this question. What sets you guys now? What's different about Klatch?
Yeah.
Why are you guys not just the typical marketing agency?
So before we were all about execution. At Venture Creative Studios, it was execution. Need a logo? Got it done. Website? Got it done. Photo shoot, video shoot, whatever it is, we'll execute. We'll run ads. We'll do your SEO. Here is the key is strategy. Most agencies will dive right in and just say, yeah, we'll get it done. But they don't like do an honest to goodness like assessment of where you're at from a strategy standpoint.
Yeah.
And so we have been super intentional about strategy. And most of our clients, we start with what's called a strategy intensive, where we take 30 days and we interview key players, stakeholders, customers, employees to kind of get a feel for just what the vision of the brand is against everybody.
Yeah.
Then we go into all their reviews and try to get some data there. And we basically put together a playbook for like, this is your target audience. These are where they're located. These are the channels you should be looking at. This is your messaging. This is your mission. This is your brand voice. This is your game plan for your marketing. And then we go into that execution thing. And that has been a game changer. It's just wild to me that most agencies don't start there.
Yeah.
Or if they do, it's not like, it just kind of comes inherently, right? Like we were always kind of strategizing in our meetings and having those conversations with people, but we weren't like making it a very intentional piece of our product and what we're delivering.
Right. Yeah, no, it's super interesting because you would think that majority of folks that are going to hire an agency, that's what they want to see is they want to see the execution. They want to see the result right away, but they don't realize what you guys are actually doing. And so finding this discovery and the strategizing part kind of educates the client as well on what you're doing so that they can then kind of dive into like oh, this is where my money is actually going on this project, and seeing the step-by-step things that you guys are taking to then create what they want to see in the final end is going to be acquisition or ROI.
Yeah,
right?
100%. Like nobody's going to know a business better than that business owner.
Right.
And so they know the product better than anybody. So for them to know the marketing strategy, I think that's important too.
For sure.
And so you're right with the education piece, like with the course that I've put together and with this, it's like, it's so important to me that business owners have an idea of what their strategy is, who they're going after, what the game plan is, because you know it just as much. Like at the first sign of any financial issue, the first thing to go is marketing.
Right.
But if you can help them understand where the priority is and help them understand where you should be putting that budget and everything, you become almost like a fractional CMO to them versus just like this agency that's expendable. Like you join the team in a way and go along the ride with them and make all the more difference from that perspective.
For sure. And I think that's the thing that sets you guys apart. For sure. And it's super exciting to watch. What kind of to wrap up here, what advice would you give to a young marketing professional that is doing freelance work, is looking at getting into this world? This little snippet of advice that you would give from your crazy amounts of experience?
That's a good question. I think anybody who's in the world of marketing, I think it's important that you listen to your customer and really try to understand. Like I just said, they know their product better than anybody.
Yeah.
And so if you can listen to them and extrapolate data from what they have to say or extrapolate ideas based on that, like I look at the Jaguar rebrand that happened last year.
Right.
Kind of a disaster, right?
Awful.
Like they just revealed that year over year, like they were a 95% decrease in orders for their vehicles.
It's crazy.
Because some guy was like, this is some fun idea that I want to do that I have. But I'm not gonna look at the target market. I'm not gonna look at the people. I'm not gonna do the work that needs to be done to figure out where we actually stand. This is for me, right?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is like, you might have ideas, you might have great ideas, but like if you can lean into being more of a guide and you're the Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Hagrid, the Gandalf, and not the Luke Skywalker, Harry Potter, Frodo, right? Like if you can be the guide on the side, helping the company be the hero, that's where you're going to make the most difference, and that's where you're going to get clients that are satisfied with your work, but are also going to evangelize you and talk you up to everybody because they're like, they helped us get to where we need to be versus they're like, it's all about me, because I think that it's easy to do in the marketing world. Yeah.
That's really good advice. No, I appreciate you sharing that. And I really do appreciate hearing your journey, hearing all about your past. And dude, it's been so fun to watch you guys and Sam and your team all come in here every day. And we're just so excited to have you in this building. And Jake was one of the first guys that actually signed up to be in this building, which is actually pretty cool. And so
it's been fun. And it's like every time I have people in here, they're just blown away by Kiln and like by the resources, by the people. We've found clients literally just by people who work here. We've made connections with people that work here. There's nothing like I did a strategy presentation to a nonprofit board of 15 people. I'm like, dude, if I didn't have this space, where would I have done that? Yeah. But I brought them all in, right? They all sat down. And the thing that the reason they wanted to do it here was because they said it felt like a third-party space. Like if we did it at our place, like there's a bias and we feel like it's home turf, right?
Yeah.
Or if I was like at my office, it was like it's my turf. But because Kiln is like this community thing, it was this opportunity to be this non-biased third-party location for us to be honest and open with each other. And it didn't feel like anybody was trying to felt like they had the home team advantage. And that's really been really cool to see.
That is cool.
I've had a lot of people kind of express that same thing. It's like, oh, this is a good place to just kind of, it's not you, it's not me. It's like, let's work together on this independently, which is pretty cool.
That's super cool. No, I appreciate you saying that. All right.
Cool,
let's
man.
wrap it up. Thank you so much, Jake. I really appreciate you
it.
doing this, and I'm super excited to see the next steps and where Klatch goes.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. We love being here, and it's been an awesome place for us to kind of get our feet wet and to kind of get back to what we're doing and to build something awesome. There's no other place in town I'd rather want to be.
I appreciate it.
Thanks man.
Dude. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you bet.